It wasn't great. I have to say that it was like watching two teams with different purpose. Atletico Madrid, every single player in that team worked their socks off. They worked so hard. They wanted to win the game. They were challenging for every scrap, every little thing. And then on the other side, Manchester United casually just passing the ball around, no real purpose. Every time they looked forward, they looked for Ronaldo if he wasn't available. Well, it was an easy pass to the side, and nothing really happened. And tonight, literally just summed up where Manchester United are. It's not in a good place. Even dreaming about being, ending in the top four in the Premier League is from tonight's performance and the performance against Manchester City, which again is current. It's not something which seems to be realistic. Again, all the substitutions made, nothing happened. They didn't come up. They didn't make an impact. So they didn't come on and make an impact. Players like Marcus Rashford, you think, bring him on, let him use his pace, let him challenge, and nothing happens. So very, very disappointed. I have to say that Atletico Madrid, they played their game. They did it really, really well. Watching Diego Simeone on the touchline, it's a stressful experience, I have to say that. But he was urging on his players, and they were responding to everything he did, and they deserve to go through, I have to say that. But I am a little bit embarrassed by Manchester United's performance today.
Peter, I think it's fair to say Manchester United have problems on the pitch in terms of the quality of the players that they have. But for me, I think they also have a problem within the dressing room in terms of a togetherness and a spirit. What do you think is more important that they have to fix first?
I think the whole situation with what's going to happen going forward, who's going to be the manager, who's going to be in charge of scouting and recruitment, who's going to do all that. I think there's so much uncertainty at Manchester United at the moment, and I feel for Richard Arnold. He's come in, he's jumped in right at the deep end, and he's got so many very, very big things to sort out. And we know in football, you don't get so much time. He doesn't have 2 or 3 or 5 years to sort this out. It's 4 months. You got to name somebody. There's got to be a manager in there very, very soon, and that guy has got to then organise himself around all the important things in a football club. And that takes time, but that time isn't there. And I have to say, at the moment, it doesn't really matter how toxic that dressing room is, as you say it is. It doesn't really matter because there's a lot of players there that won't be there once we start up again after the summer.
Peter, you're talking about bringing in a new manager. We know the names that have been mentioned. Those managers who have been, linked to the job, are they good enough to take on Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola?
Well, only time can tell. I think the names that have been mentioned, one's gone out of the Champions League today. One's at a team, in Spain. I think Lopetegui is being mentioned at a team in Spain that are doing quite well, but it's not at the level of Manchester United as a club. And the last one, which has been mentioned all the time, is of course Pochettino, who went out last week with, quite a squad of players, I have to say. So those are the names being mentioned. I'd be very, very curious to learn if there are other names in the equation. But I have to be completely honest. I don't really see the obvious, the Alex Ferguson candidate out there. But as I said, Richard Arnold, he's got a very, very big job on his hand, and naming of finding that manager is at the very beginning of that.
Peter, we've asked you before, but do you still think Manchester United can win the Champions League?
I wish I could say yes.
Peter, we'll let you go.
Hey, you're so cruel, eh? But Jamie and Micah, two of you, right? Don't forget, this tournament is difficult. It's long. And I could just have a comeback within, 3-4 weeks? So
yeah, we'll see.
Peter, we'll let you go and see if you can find any Man United interviews for us, and we'll be back with you shortly again in this show. Hey, welcome back. So Manchester United are out of the Champions League and Atletico Madrid are through to the next round at their expense. Let's break down some of the action from this game and show you how it played out. One goal in it, that was all it needed for Atletico Madrid to get that result. And here's a look at that goal. Annie, do you want to walk us through it?
Yeah, no, good goal from Lodi, obviously the game-winning goal. You see here, great little play from Felix. But just have a look at Dallo there. He's ball watching. He's completely attracted to the cross. As a fullback, obviously Micah can explain as well. You've got to open up. You've got to open up your shoulders, see what's on your back shoulder. He's completely caught off guard. Obviously, Lodi as a wing back comes in, gets on the other side of the box and scores. But it's poor defending, really. Right,
it's his whole body position, because they was playing with wing backs. Koke runs in, he's tried to go with him, and then he's not looked. If he opens up his body, just gets on the half turn, he can see the ball there and he can see who's behind him. He didn't look once, and by the time he realised, it was just too late.
When we're talking about Manchester United defending, the big standout right now, and the one who is really suffering, is Harry Maguire. And this is an £80 million defender. He got brought off, he's the captain. And I don't know if we could see that goal again. And you're absolutely spot on in terms of the full-back not seeing the player at the back post. But his decision-making right at this minute. Sorry, we need to go back a little bit further, sorry. We'll see it again. But Harry Maguire goes flying out when he doesn't need to, and then everyone comes across one player. Watch Harry Maguire now. It's so tight in the midfield, you don't need to go that tight. Then someone runs into the space, Varane then gets dragged out there. Now Dallo has to go with that run, as Mike has said, and then he goes with a midfield player in there. So of course, he should open his shoulders, no doubt. But I'm watching Harry Maguire, who's played in the position I've played in, and we just see the goal now. Lodi again. Listen, he's been one of the standout players in the game. He's got the goal there, he got the assist in the first leg. But in terms of the Manchester United captain right now, who cost £80 million, was taken off in the game. He's going through the worst moment in his career when he's played, and we've all been there when you've had a moment. I can picture it now when I was playing, and I felt no matter what I did in a game, how I prepared for it, how well I played in the game, the one thing I'd get wrong is that the ball would end up in the back of my net. And I always remember when that was, and that period of my career. And this is something that Harry Maguire is going through right now. Now, he has to get out of it very quickly, otherwise he won't be at the club, because the standards at Manchester United are so high. You see how he goes in.
How do you do that? Because he must want to get out of it.
Of course he does, but his head will be all over the place. He's getting criticism left, right and centre. He'll be criticised again. I actually think the crowd cheered when he went off.
Yeah, they did.
Which is not a nice thing for anyone. And I've always been a fan of Harry Maguire as a player. I think he's had a really good career. He gets criticised because he cost 80 million. And Liverpool signed Virgil van Dijk for 75, and Van Dijk is the best defender in the world. He's a phenomenon. Harry Maguire's not that. But he doesn't set the price, so he gets stick for that, I understand. But he had a great summer with England in the Euros, getting to the final. But this season has been a disaster for him, it really has. And he almost needs to get to the end of the season and almost just forget about football and get away. He's having a really tough time, and every decision he makes, he's possibly overthinking that. That decision he makes to go and push in there, if he's playing well, he's just passing that on, and he's relaxed, and he's just filling that space. He's almost trying to do too much, and he's absolutely all over the place.
I think it's because Man United don't know what they're doing. They don't know if they're staying. When Rannick come in, they was going to play this 4-2-2-2, and they tried to play really high. Today they're going deep, and then they're going into areas where you don't need to. Even if you win the ball there, what's that going to do? All you need to do is drop off 5 yards and stay in your position. If you're not having the greatest time, and I agree with you, I'm a fan of Maguire. I think he's had a very good career. I think he did very well at the Euros last summer, and the price tag is always going to be there. But I think he can help himself by just doing the basic things. You don't need to do nothing fancy. Just go back to basics.
He's all over the place.
Get your midfielders in front of you. It's about organisation, and it wasn't just Maguire today. I don't think Varane was. It seems like there's no leader at the back, and they need to sort that out as soon as possible.
Talking of leadership at the back, let's take a look at Jan Oblak, because he was really good for Atletico today. He's a keeper who's not been having the best season of his career. In fact, he'd fallen off.
Yeah, but he's still a top-notch goalkeeper, and that's why we've been waxing lyrical over the
Well, it
last
was only a
couple
couple of weeks
seasons.
ago we had a conversation questioning
Yeah, but
was he still elite?
De Gea had question marks as well, but all good keepers come back, and you know, in these sort of games on the biggest stage, this is when it matters. And this one is in the second half, the double save, first one for Varane, the header, and then Ronaldo is claiming the corner before it's even gone out. It was just brilliant. And you need this. You need this, and this is what gets you through. These are the moments. If you can have a bad couple of games, but in the big games when it matters, and he showed up tonight. That was the most important.
I thought he did okay. I think it was more a question of Manchester United never ever tested them or had a chance. The first one, he didn't have a clue. It hit him on the head. And the second one, we've just shown there.
You should be
Yeah,
saying.
but in terms of saying it just hits you on the head. You still got to be in the right position. Some people might have gone down, some people might have stayed up. It's still got to be there. So you got to give him credit.
But he's
for that.
not making saves to the level we've seen. So De Gea sort of pull out an absolute worldie save. Man U didn't test him at all, really, in terms of making him make a world-class save. Those saves, he should be saving that.
He did well. Sorry. He did well, sort of coming for crosses and slowing the game down and taking the sting out of Manchester United at the end. They were really good. But in terms of the save that we've shown there, I don't think that was anything out of the ordinary.
Right. Well, save of the night could have gone to David De Gea. You're absolutely right. Let's take a look at that one. Is this the one you were referring to, Annie?
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, I don't think Atletico were really massively creative either, but the strikes that they did have, this is a great one, great footwork. I mean, I can't say I'm a goalkeeper expert, but how many times have we seen De Gea just pull out, a strong arm, it's going top corner, and then he pulls it out of the bag. But, Man U on the opposite side didn't do enough of this to Oblak to test him.
Well, let's find out how David De Gea is feeling after today's game. We've got two Manchester United goalkeeping greats in conversation for you. Peter Schmeichel, David De Gea listening.
Just sum up tonight from you, please.
It was another disappointed night for us. I feel very sad for us, for the fans. See, the atmosphere today was unbelievable. It wasn't enough to beat Atletico in both games. It's difficult to say with words how we feel, but it's another tough moment.
Watching the game, it was very there's a big difference between how they approached the game. I know they're a little bit defensive, but in terms of what they put invested in the game, it was like they wanted to win every ball, and it didn't look like that our team wanted to, invest everything in it. Can you pinpoint what is wrong at the moment with the football team in the dressing room?
For sure, there's many things wrong in the club at the moment, but I think they are a very experienced team. They know how to play those games. They score the goal, and then they're a very good defensive team.
We should know how to play the game as well, shouldn't we? Yeah?
Of course, but we didn't. It wasn't good. A good game for us. We tried until the end, but it wasn't enough. So,
is there a case of this uncertainty about who's the manager and what's going to happen? Is that playing a part in the way that the team is performing?
At the end, the players are the ones who are on the pitch, the ones who want to score the goals, and but maybe probably it's not an easy situation for us. But it's not just this year. It's many years in strange situations. We are not good enough.
You've been here long enough to obviously the club really well. What needs to be done for Manchester United to sort of turn the tide and move towards better performances and challenging for trophies?
Probably have the right ideas to know what we want. If we want to be a successful team and try to fight for trophies, or we just want to fight for top four and get out of the Champions League in this stage, we have to be very clear and do much better things than we're doing.
On the back of this result, where does that leave Manchester United now for the rest of the season?
We know it's going to be very difficult. The team at the moment is a bit down, of course. It was a tough night, very tough. But we still have 9 games to play, so we have to give everything, every single game to try to win and try to be in the top 4.
Thank you very much. And by the way, what a great save. Again.
What a great save, he said. Nice. Listen, I think Manchester United now, it's 5 seasons without a trophy. The Champions League was the last trophy that they could have won potentially this season. That's obviously over now. The only thing that they're fighting for is for players of this level with these kind of expectations that you go to Manchester United to try and achieve something that's bigger than reaching the top 4. How difficult is it for them to now turn this around and really feel like they can still salvage something from this season?
I mean, what people have got to remember, this is Manchester United. What was the question?
Well, just, you kind of said for Harry Maguire, for example, for him, it's basically about just getting to the end of the season now and hitting the reset button. But a lot of these players will feel like that in some ways, won't they?
They will, yes. And I've been in this position with Liverpool, where you're seen as one of the great clubs and you're not performing or getting the results that you're expected to for a club of your calibre. So yeah, we laugh and joke as Manchester United at the moment and they're big rivals of ours, but I've been in that position. And when a new season comes around, there's always hope and optimism. So how we all feel about Manchester United now, and they do, there'll be a new manager, there'll be new signings, 3 or 4 players will go, and they'll go into that new season with optimism that they can achieve things. I think every club does that. But the big problem with Manchester United is they've tried so many different ways of bringing success. So they've had almost every different type of coach. Peter Schmeichel's talking about the change of CEO at the top of the club, and you'd like to think that will make a difference because that culture starts from the top. But what I asked Peter was about actually bringing quality players in, obviously, but that dressing room right now, that is split. And I don't think it's just split down the middle. I think we're in quarters. I think there's probably 3 or 4 different groups. There's all people feet. I can guarantee
Isn't
you.
there always different groups in a dressing room?
Yes, but I think they're all at each other. And I know for a fact in the next 3 or 4 days there'll be stories coming out about certain players wanting to leave, certain players shouldn't be playing, certain players are not going to be at the club next year if they're not in the Champions League, certain players on contracts they mightn't sign or they're not happy that they're not playing. These things never ever used to come out before, but they're coming out consistently now year after year. And it'll be saying, you'll see a story in the next 2 or 3 days about Manchester United's players.
Are you leaking something to the press?
Am I? I wish I was.
All right, listen, we got loads more to come for you. We're going to get interviews from Peter over at Old Trafford as well.
Well, I think we played a very good first half, energetically on a high level. Most of the game took place in their half. What we didn't do is convert that energy into the first goal. And of course, if in a game like this one against Atletico, it's important to score the first goal yourself. We didn't. We hit the crossbar. We had 1 or 2 good moments in the first half where we could have scored. Apart from that opportunity, but we didn't. And then this counter-attack moment before halftime didn't make life any easier for us.
And this was the one big trophy we all wanted to win, of course. We're out of the Champions League. We've got 9 more games left in the Premier League. Where does this leave you and the job and what you got to do in the next period now for this team?
Yeah, for us it's important to finish this season on the best possible note. In order to finish 4th, we cannot afford to drop any more points. I think we've dropped too many already with our draws in games where we should have won games. But yes, now we have 2.5 weeks, no regular game, which is also unusual, especially in a league like the Premier League. Most of the players are on international duty, and then we need to prepare for the Leicester game, away game at Everton, and a home game against Norwich. And in those 3 games, we have to try and get 9 points. And then, for the last 6 games, it will be then important to get as many points as possible.